Wolfen kings of Ashtar, and it rings a bell. The term ashtar command. Very cunning, huh? Matu had spent the previous day attempting to solve the circle again. It was an easy test, yet after dozens of attempts, he had still been unable to solve it. This circle was 12 feet in diameter. 20 feet away was a bright white round stone about the size of a large orange. Without leaving the circle, Matu had to retrieve the stone. To aid him, Matu could only use what was in the circle. In the circle with him was a 2-foot piece of rope, a shoe, and a small flashlight. Pa had introduced him to the circle and had taken him into the circle many times to begin the test, and each and every time Matu had been unsuccessful. As he sat at his table, he thought about the circle. He drew little diagrams and hoped that somehow he could see the solution using another perspective. His paper was full of little arrows and lines and circles. Somehow and in some way, Matu was determined to solve the problem. He had been completely absorbed with his drawings when he suddenly noticed that the master was standing at the window. Matu blurted it out. "I'm sorry, Master Pa. I did not see you come in." Matu shuffled the papers and took out new sheets, patterned from the window, and as was his habit, he simply began talking. Billions of years after the birth of the green world, which could be Earth or the reptilian world, it was in Eridum, something called like that. After the birth of the green world and the evolution of the SES or the reptilian beings started, another race of beings evolved to another world far away. In this world, or on this world, there were 3 suns in the sky. He's talking about Sirius. A red star, a white star, and a black star that could not see, but that most certainly could be felt. And he's Sirius C, Sirius A, Sirius B. And it has 3 suns. Wow. A black star that could be felt. Matu was confused. Unlike the people, the SSS people who had evolved from a reptilian-insect ancestor, these beings had been born of and evolved from a reptilian-wolfen ancestor. Wow. The one I've seen is not like that. One's very small sized, but there are many types. So the one I saw was a bit dwarfy. And it's true, this thing is real, 100%. But the ones who so focused in religions will not see beyond the box. But it's true, my mother has seen it. Northeast of Brazil, I've seen it. The one I've seen is not here. Oh God, so scary. But to date, I never seen any werewolf attacking nobody. Nobody. The one I've seen is small, another type. The workers. Following, so unlike the people, like a snake who had evolved from a reptilian-insect ancestor, these beings had been born of and evolved from a reptilian-wolfen ancestor. Now I ask, how come a reptilian become a wolf? How come a reptilian become a dog? Unless they come here, they extract DNA, they make experiments with dogs, and bingo, they become a werewolf, a part reptilian, a part man, and a part wolf. Okay, that's how it was made. Not that they just evolved like this from nothing. This story is not. It's just half baked. It's not full baked. Okay, the cake still raw. So following almost the same path that had led to the evolution of the reptilian people, these woven beings had also evolved from a primitive ancestor into humanoids, because they mix up humanoids with humans with wolves and reptilian to become the werewolf, that lift themselves up from their primitive and simple beginnings to a complex civilization, complete with its own culture and identity. The path that has led to the evolution of humanoids has been repeated many times in many ways in our galaxy. Matu, and while the ancestors who began the journey are different forms, often the paths are nearly identical in their content. In many cases, the new life forms of a planet cannot survive the harsh conditions of their own world. Sometimes an errant asteroid or comet plunges down from the sky and destroys the planet. Perhaps an unstable and violent core literally tears the world apart. I don't think that it's by chance, something do it. And that when they talk about this is human, this is monsters, thrive somewhere, because they create it and then they live to their own device to evolve themselves. They mix up DNA and then they just throw the creature there to reproduce and live in their own devices. Sometimes they are so miserable. So while nearly identical in their content, in many cases the new life forms of planet cannot survive the harsh conditions of their own world. Sometimes an errant asteroid or comet plunges down from the sky and destroys the planet. Perhaps an unstable and violent cold literally tears the world apart. In many ways, a new world sees a premature end. Oh dear. I would guess that it's done on purpose and through wars as well. And sometimes they use comets, they use asteroids to bring in new things here, being creatures or any other things, viruses, etc. Usually, however, the single most destructive force on these new worlds is the evolving life forms that walks on the surface of the planet, like man right now, men and many other creatures. In so many cases, the worlds that survive and the populations on it endure because the beings who walk on its surface have learned to control their own destructiveness and greed. The worst enemy of life is life itself. On the green world, humanoids had evolved from a reptilian-insect that had learned to fly and lift itself from the wards of the stagnant ponds. That's how the reptilian evolved, from the pond. On the world of three suns, another group of humanoids evolved from the water creatures who emerged from the oceans and seas themselves. If you remember Matu, in the green world, the reptilian-insect ancestors of the were originally sea creatures who were tossed to the shore on sea waves and deposited in stagnant ponds. On the world of three suns, however, the tiny creatures of the oceans remained in the sea and evolved to become fish-like creatures. In order to live and survive the great waters, these ocean creatures learned early in their evolution to prey on other creatures. Unlike the reptilian-insect ancestors, these reptilian amphibious creatures had begun their journey to becoming land creatures by developing their hunting and killing skills long before they had reached the water's edge. By the time they began to search for food on land, they had sharp teeth and extraordinary strength and ability. Their fins had already begun to take on the look and function of strong and extremely useful appendages. As the sea creatures explored the edges of the continents, the development of their powerful fin-like arms and legs readily adapted to crawling on land. Make me think about this one kind of a creature that we see on the ponds. What's his name? Is a nymph? No, is a newt. A newt reminds of that creatures.
Alien or something. I don't know what it is. It looks like a caterpillar. I think it's a caterpillar. Okay, I'm gonna pick it up. Oh, and hold him. He's gonna like turn into a butterfly because he looks like a caterpillar. Has anybody ever seen one of these in their yard? It must be some kind of like a creature from Texas.
Like this.
Maybe these are just from Texas. I don't know what they are. Some weird big.
Oh dear.
I don't know. Did bats start out as caterpillars? Yeah. So.
As the creatures explored the edges of the continents, the development of their powerful fin-like arms and legs readily adapted to crawling on land. In time, after millions of years of crawling, the now amphibious reptilian creature learned to walk and hunt on four legs millions of years later.
I think we're gonna keep him, but I don't think he's hungry.
Could they resemble this? Just like I saw on March, the creature who came and visit me. It had on his waist a pouch with a creature pinkish color like a bubble, a blob, and it was very gelatinous and it looked like an amphibious. Later on I got very sick, very sick. He touched me, he touched my waist. I got very sick with the Omicron. As the sea creatures explored the edges of the continents, the development of their powerful fin-like arms and legs readily adapted to crawling on land. In time, after millions of years of crawling, the now amphibious reptilian creature learned to walk and hunting on four legs millions of years later. As the creature continued to adapt to land life, its mossy amphibian skin gave way to a tough outer skin, and its ocean-living traits were gone. Gills and broad feet, army hands used for paddling in water, were replaced by lungs and large padded feet suited for walking on virtually any terrain. Still later, the steaming hot tropical climates began to take their toll on these primordial creatures. To survive, they adapted. After hundreds of thousands of years, in place of toughened amphibian skin, they developed fur, and instead of laying eggs, the primitive mammals gave birth to live young. Why frogs still laying eggs? Why the female reptilian still lay eggs? Gone were the distinctly reptilian amphibian features of their ancestors. Permanently acquired were the physical characteristics of the species known as warm-blooded creatures. The wolfen ancestor was born. Matu made a face. Pet saw him. "Is there something wrong, Matu?" he asked. Matu fidgeted slightly. "I'm wondering, Elder," Matu began, "how is it that the evolutionary paths of the beings of our galaxy are so similar? It's almost as if somewhere, way back, even before the first cells were born, it is almost as if there was a common source of life. As if one ancestor gave birth somehow to all of the creatures of our universe, of our galaxy." Per interrupted him. Matu glanced at him. "Yes," he agreed. Of our galaxy?" Matu momentarily reflected on Per's correction. Why did Per say the galaxy and not the universe? Is there something about our galaxy or the universe he's not telling? Is there somehow a common ancestor in our galaxy?" Matu continued. "Is there a single source of life in Erdanus, Master? Can that be?" Per hesitated, and the hesitation was enough to convince Matu that there was in fact something that Per did not want to say. See. "As we proceed, Matu began, you shall find that the void is the very ultimate source of life in our universe." As soon as he finished, he began to talk on another subject. Matu was sure now. There was something else, someone else, was somehow involved in the development of life in the galaxy. The world of three suns was soon filled with four-footed creatures, furry walkers and amphibious walkers. Oh dear! Walkers with bony shells and walkers with smooth skin. The new primitive world was now teeming with many different races of creatures. But one species in particular, the reptilian-wolfen creatures, was the most menacing. Oh my gosh! Sounds like a newt. Oh, brother. This was the reptilian wolf. Still, I don't know whether they are evil, but to say that they are misogynistic, I don't know. The early wolfen creatures had the appearance of both a large cat and a wolf. Oh gosh! Reminds me of a chimera. They were powerful and built low to the ground. Large muscular legs moved them quickly across the ground and allowed them to spring forward with this astonishing speed and height. They were extremely agile and strong, and they possessed long sharp claws that cut easily into the bodies of their victims. While they often ate easily acquired fruits and vegetation. That is how I thought. The long time ago creatures eat fruits and vegetables. Long time ago creatures eat fruits and vegetables. However, they were manipulated and altered to eat, to become carnivore. They preferred a diet that consisted of freshly killed flesh. The head of the primitive wolfen beast was large and almost square in appearance. The beast had piercing, almost glowing eyes that constantly searched the surrounding terrain for an unearthly victim, and its fangs that could sink through almost any creature's hide. Males and females both had manes, large coarse hair that framed their faces like deadly portraits. They were covered with golden brown hair, though some wolfen races had dark brown to black hair. Long powerful tails that would softly flicker at the end gave an air of deceptive calm to the wolf beast as it lay waiting for an expecting prey. And although the wolfen beast looked more like a primitive lion than a wolf, the primitive beast was most definitely canine in its makeup. So the chimera represents them. It's all in one: a reptilian snake, a lion, a bird, etc. It is raw, once a combination of a low, guttural growl and a throaty bark. The sound of their roaring was more like a low deep rumble that preceded an earthquake and was delivered with such intensity that it could be heard many, many miles away. Firmly established as carnivores who fed on flesh and savored the blood of their victims, the wolfen beasts eventually left behind most of their reptilian features and continued to evolve along the lines, much like our own mammals of this world evolved. Coexisting with other creatures that were often larger than they were, the wolfen beasts accomplished with brutal violence and cruel cunning what their size could not provide. Hunting packs and developing their skills at finding the weaknesses of their victims, attacking with merciless viciousness. The wolfen ones soon held their own in the primitive world of the Three Suns. Serious, of course, thought Matu to himself. If it is amazing how the most violent creatures are the ones who establish themselves on the planet, and then it is their descendants, if they move into humanoid form, who conquer the planet. But then it was the same way with the beings of our own world. We remembered humans were the most violent and the most vicious. As the Wolfens once did, we compensated with brutal cunning what we lacked in size, in size and menacing. I'm sure that it must be a rule of this galaxy. He who is the most violent wins. Yes, our reptilian trait, what? As if with the revolution of the reptilian beings, so too in the world of the open ones, the path to humanoid existing took millions of years, learning to walk upright, conquering their environment and their fellow species, rising from woven dens to caves and then to constructed shelters, all of the same steps with a slight variation were steps that the woven humanoids had to take. But it happened. They became humanoid. As is generally the case with the most evolved humanoids of our galaxy, the primitive woven humanoids passed through the many stages of evolution common to humanoids, from individuals then to primitive mud huts and shelters, and then to constructed homes with temperature-controlled air, and finally to large, sophisticated cities with covered markets. The wolfen beings conquered the environment. Hunting gave way to butcher shops. Scavenging gave way to markets. You see, they have nothing to do. Shh. Still, they have nothing to do with the wolves. The wolves, the canines in general. Territories gave away to nations, and primitive survival gave way to organized conquest. From a life of pure basic survival instincts to a world complete with culture and art, science and technology, luxury and comfort, from primitive growls and howls to a complex language and developed writing, from leaders of the pack to wolfen kings. The wolfen people rose from a primitive existence to sophisticated existence. Sophisticated, Matu thought. Right. Big deal. Over the millions of years of the evolution of their planet, many races of the wolfen evolved, Matu. Sometimes races of wolfen beings died through natural causes and planetary changes. Sometimes because of diseases and famine. But unfortunately, as it has happened on nearly every world in the galaxy of Eridanas, over the millions of years of the evolution, the main wolfen races went to war. And it was war that destroyed many of the primitive wolfen civilizations. Fangs and claws gave way to knives and swords. Spear and clubs gave way to guns and airships. Skillful hunting gave way to the art of war, and primitive wolfen men gave way to conquering wolfen men. Eventually, one race of wolfen warriors would rise to become the single dominant race, born of vicious conquering kings. The rulers of this new world were called the other is SSS, this one is RRR. The Matu wrote it down. Strange name for strange people. Hey, wait a minute. What did the wolfen people look like, master? He asked. Bear turned to him and smiled. I'm remiss, Mitchell, Bear said. My apologies. The wolfen humanoids were strange-looking people who had the features of a dog and the features of a cat. Dog and cat features, Matu was confused. Primitive woven humanoids males had broad chest and little or no waists. Oh dear, large and powerful buttocks with strong thighs and thick calves. Primitive wolfen females had a large chest. Oh! So the big boobies women are wolves, large chest, and a very slight feminine curve to their bodies. Oh my gosh! Oh no! Oh my god, this described me. They had large hips. Oh, this one's not me. Large hips and muscular legs. Yeah, I have muscular legs. At least I had, but I'm old already, so the muscle somewhere, I don't know, went back to serious. So, and although they had lost most of their thick and coarse body hair, they still retained the fine dark hair all over their toes. Oh, that's not me. I don't even have hair on my toes. What's this? Oh dear. They have broad chest, little no waists, large and powerful buttocks, strong thighs, and thick calves. Primitive wolfen females had large chests, a very slight feminine curve to their bodies. They had large hips and muscular legs. And although they had lost most of their thick and coarse body hair, they still retained a fine dark hair all over their torsos. Their arms were large and muscular, their wrists were thick, and their hands broad and rounded. Unlike the long fingers of the reptilian beings of Orion, the woven ones had shorter and fatter fingers. Oh my gosh. Shorter and coarse body, they were large and hard like the finger. Short and fatter finger. Their necks were all thick and quite short. Oh my gosh! Wow, Matu said to himself. They sound like the sumo wrestler of the Orient. They are very strong, very strong. The large broad heads of their primitive primate ancestors had become slightly more rounded, but their square lower jaws still give them a very imposing appearance. They had broad noses, pieces hunter eyes, a large forehead, and small ears, and perhaps the most dominating feature of all, the hair had to be thick. Just all the lion women have thick hair, lots of hair. The manes of the ancestors had given them coarse beards on the faces of the males and long sideburns with chin whiskers on the long sideburns with chin whiskers on the females. As a wolfen woman braided their hair, so too wolfen men braided their beards. Their hair and beards ranged in color from a golden brown to dark shades of auburn. Oh my god. This is reddish brown to a deep jet black. Wow, that's beautiful. One race even had thick and long manes of deep red hair. Wow, that's beautiful, amazing. When taken together, all of those features serve to give the wolfen people the distinctive semblance of a humanoid lions. Yeah, correct. Wow, Matu could see them in his mind. Lion people, yeah. Lion people had canine ancestors. Amazing, yeah. What can they do inside these labs, huh? Ta-da! No wonder every August there is a open up of lion gates. They come in and they are symbol of fortune, of prosperity, etc. And all these beings, all those humans here who gives praise to them, who somehow are worshipping them in a way or another, They have a prosperous country. Okay? Mm. Does it rings a bell? They are very prosperous, very, how to say, these beings are sophisticated. They can be arrogant also. Sophisticated, but on the other hand, they can be, when it suits them to be, they are generous. Sophisticated, they are always in position of power. And then you come in and talk about the wolves here. Oh, please. And here they play the game of enemy cats and dogs. But I think, I don't know. I still love animals. One race even had thick and long manes of deep red hair. Okay, the physical feature. Wow. The physical feature of their bodies give a lion-like appearance to all primitive woven humanoids, both male and female, had feet that were large and broad, and although their tails were gone, a few small bones that remained left a telltale bump at the end of their backbone. They had large hands, large powerful hands that seemed to swallow whatever they held, and sharp pointed nails, vestiges of the claw of their ancestors. Early woven humanoid beings were handsome and fearsome. Yeah, beautiful and deadly. I mean, what for you be beautiful when you are not good? I mean, better be ugly and not good, is it? Yeah, they are beautiful, but what's the point of being good and not being beautiful and not good? But at least we can tame some animals here on earth. Even if a tiger or whatever, but for how long, I don't know. Anyway, anytime they can snap. Beautiful and deadly, and they were violently aggressive. Oftentimes, the act of courtship and mating between males and females end up in what might appear to anyone who was watching as an extremely violent physical battle. Wolfen females, much like their ancestors, relished a hungry and powerful male. Oftentimes, the female herself would challenge a courting male to a battle. Oh my God! Oh my God, what a violent sex! And if he was unable to defeat her, oh my God, he was unworthy. What the heck is this? I don't believe it. That is what is it? Kind of a real bitch and very, like, is it a masochist? Who want a male who beat eyes? What kind of slut is that? If he was unable to defeat her, he was unworthy. Consummation of a passion is often violent. Oh my gosh, what a kind of female is that? She really deserves beating, you know. A woman who wants to get beaten up really is a slut, not to say another sound, another accent. Relationships were based on sheer power. A dominant male could possess as many females as he could keep under control. What a bad! Females were sometimes stolen by other males, but if the first male could not steal her back, she remained quite happy with her new lover. As long as he was the dominant one in the relationship. Oh, I don't like this kind of female. And there's a lot of them here. It's called bitch, you know, peaches. Encouraged by these female traits, the word of the Wolfen people remained quite violent. Hey, but why is that if the cats are like this? The queen does not give in easily. They mate through a very violent way. Why you are telling you are shifted through the dogs? The female dog not like that at all. At least here on earth is not like that. It's the queen cat that like to fight. I mean, they are given. When once in a heat, they are given. They want it. They want to mate. However, once see the male come and mate to see her because they have razor like penazes made of razor. I think that this will hurt her a lot, and she turns very violent. The mate turns violent because she reacted back, and she doesn't. She allow it for a while until he deposit the seed, and that's it. She's out of her. So in a very male-oriented, I wonder if every woman would like to there. Sure, they will. A lot of them. They are masochist. They are misogynistic and masochist. Sure, there's a lot of women like that. You'll be not surprised to find out that many women here like this, and very male-oriented. I wonder if every woman will like it there. Sure, they will. The male-oriented one, the misogynistic one. There's a lot here. At least I would say 99% of the human in here are male-oriented. 99% is a high percentage. The other few are anomalies for them. So I don't like this kind of woman. I get away, but it's not. You're not my mate at all. I wonder if every woman like Matu thought to himself. It has long been said that if a wolfen being does anything, he or she does it with a ferocity that is seldom seen in our galaxy. During the course of the evolution, it seemed as if the wolfen ones did not need to learn about violence or efficiency. I don't believe the tiger. He is the most terrible of all. The tiger, the tiger. I'm not talking about the leopard, the jaguar, the cougar. I'm talking about the tiger. It's the most ferocious here, followed by the crocodile. It's not the wolf at all, so I don't agree with it. Quite the contrary, it seemed as if intense violence coursed through the veins instead of blood. It was as if they had been born from the heart of an angry primordial war god. And the cats is the most that fight here. You see the cats? They don't go along with them. They mark territory. Dogs not like this. They mark territory, but they are not as violent. But they are violent when they are in pack. Once they are in pack, they want to show off. They go around destroying things. That's the dog behavior. However, the cats are aloof and alone. They can fight one another for territory. Go around and watch. I have been watching this a long time ago. Instead of a heartbeat, they were possessed of a drum beat of war, but because of this innate ability to be violent and fierce, the wolfen ones accomplished in a short time. I would say the feline one, you are lying, feline one, for a short time, what many civilizations had taken millions of years to develop. And the word of three sons, conquest of natural enemies and competing species, came easily to the wolfen ones. In the dog girls here, the female dogs, they are very good mom, and the male are very protective of her and the puppies. Okay, and that's the dog family here. This instinct, they are very protective. The males are very protective. The cat, on the other hand, not very much. They are a bit aloof and selfish, the male cats. Perhaps the most significant evidence of their barbarity was borne out again and again in the battlefield. That says are you. They sent on their victims with the wrath of dogs. No! The wrath of you! Reptilian from here, not dogs, you idiot. Leave the dogs alone. The dogs are good. From hell, the wolfen warriors did not defeat their enemies. They destroyed their enemies. Oh my god. Like the felines, not like that, huh? The reptilian those, huh? After the battle was over, while still standing in the blood-soaked fields, the wolfen warriors ripped open the enemy's tunics, exposing the flesh to the sky, and then promptly and savagely began to devour the flesh. However, there is a difference here. I'm going to explain. The bodies of enemy soldiers who had fallen in battle provided the sustenance and the nourishment for hungry wolfen warriors. In short, the wolfen warriors ate the enemies, so they are cannibals. Okay, another thing, the cats usually they kill, they suffocate first, they asphyxiate their prey. Okay, you can see this kind of their nature, their traits, is that they will suffocate first the prey before they will consume a dead body. The dogs, no, the canine, they will just rip flesh apart, they destroy while the being is still alive in their flesh. So that's the difference between these two animals. I think the cat is more, I would say, more kind when they kill. Yeah, the cat's more kind. What? Matu was totally shocked. They ate them! Matu had not expected this. Pet saw the sudden sickened look on Matu's face. But the enemies who died in battle were the fortunate ones, Matu. Those who had fallen from wounds were the fortunate ones, yeah. They were devoured alive. Teams of woven batters moved in after battle to dress and prepare the bodies of the fallen enemy soldiers, while the flesh was the basic source of food for the soldiers and kept in storage. Some organs were carefully removed and sent back to the homeland to become delicacies and special meals and ceremonies. My gosh, that's awful. It reminds me of some cannibals here on earth. There's a lot of them as well. Reminds me of those people, those so-called creatures like people, who on the battle they consume the flesh of their enemies. Oh my gosh. For wolfen soldiers, war was waged not just for glory and conquest, or even for right and wrong. It was also a source of food. This added incentive for hunger turned the tide of many battles on the field in favor of the wolfen ones. Yeah, that's why you see some shaman people, tribal people did the same during the war. They will kill one another, then they eat the flesh, and they will keep the head as a trophy, and they call themselves the wolfen people. Good Lord, Matu shook his head. It's not as if the reptilian warriors were enough. Now we have to deal with the wolfen ones. Damn! What chance have we got? None. We are done diddly on. Many frightening stories are told in the history of the world of the three sons, Matu. But none paint a more gruesome picture than those which describe the battlefield after victory by the wolfen warriors. Can you imagine the horror of the sight? Smoke and mist mixing together in the twilight to create an eerie and surreal scene. Grunts and growls come from everywhere, the sounds of a wolf pack tearing at the flesh and devouring the meat. No, I don't want to see that. I hate to see it. Sometimes the growling eating sounds are punctuated by the screams and cries of their victims. I don't even want to think about it. In the dim light, just before darkening sea, large bodies that look like hairy lions are bent over, feeding on the innards of fallen soldiers. Yeah, but they look like lions. How I call them wolf for? Although the I know that the canine here is more vicious than the felines. I know. It's still why they look like a lion as well in this context. In the other side, their manes and bodies are covered in blood. They tear at the flesh with their teeth and raise their heads time and again to howl at their victory. Those who have survived the onslaught of wolfen warriors never forget the horror of what they have seen. It is one thing to see your comrade fall in a battle beside you, but to see him be eaten and devoured with such frenzy that was something that brought nightmares to even the strongest and bravest soldiers. Sure, I will die us together. Sure, just see this scene, I will die there. Matu shuddered. He could see the smoky silhouettes in the dripping blood. He ever saw the fangs staring at the flash and could hear the howls. He had to shake his head to stop the picture in his head. The barbarity of the wolfen warriors and their cruel ferocity quickly gave birth to kings and kingdoms on the world of three suns, Matu. Seldom in the history of the galaxy had a race of humanoids exhibited such violency. And while the home life of the reptilian beings of Orion had revolved around the female, in the world of the woven ones, the male was the unquestioned master of the home. No wonder they are so violent, more than the reptilians. They are so violent. In the world around them, the male ancestors of the wolfen ones had often devoured their offspring. But lions also do. Lions, once they want to mate with the lioness, they go there and devour all the small cubs. So at least so if it's not his, he will devour the cubs so that the lioness will come and hit again to give birth once more. And although evolution had shown merit to maintain the life of progeny, it was not uncommon for the males to turn their young ones as a source of food in difficult times. And at last you think that the females protested, Matu. Be assured that the females were often willing participants in the gruesome feeding. Damn! Was all Matu could think of. Damn! The victory of the wolfen warriors were horrific. Their carnage efficient and the response of the victims. Once a ginger cat come up to the 10th floor just to eat some kittens that was playing on the corridor. The mother had gone down. The mother went down to play I don't know, just for walk. Their mothers, and they were playing there on the corridor when a bloody cat, ginger one, orange, came up and not eat. He didn't eat. He killed them. And when I opened the door in the morning, I saw the kitten dead, very beautiful Burmese kitten, and the stupid cat, the devilish cat, licking his whisker, full filled with blood. The poor mother soon will die. She died by a pack of dogs who tear her up. So I was told. I did not see, but that was what the sweepers said. But I don't believe it was dogs. It was something else, but could have been dog. But I still think this was not dog. Something else have killed that cat, because I saw many in that times that were around. A lot of cat head appeared in the morning downstairs the block. A lot, many times. So I don't believe that dogs will do that. No, they tear apart, yeah, but they don't strip the head from the neck. That's not true. And the other time I saw a female cat eating another cat's kitten. And I went inside under the car to eat there. On the word of Trista, it did not take long for them, and the female cats, some of them, not all, some of them, make a sacrifice. The first one born is sacrificed, they will eat them. The firstborn, I have seen that also. On the word of Trista, it did not take long for them to rise to domination over the many species of the planet. Their conquests were decisive and complete. Their kings ruthless and efficient. Populations who suffered their invasions and were defeated quickly yielded to their rule. Wielded to their rule. Those who resisted or refused to obey quickly found themselves prime sources of nutrition for the wolfen ones. So the victory of the wolfen warriors were horrific in their carnage, efficient and responsible for the victims. On the word of those 3 stars, it did not take long for them to rise to domination over the many species of the planet. Their conquests were decisive and complete. Their kings ruthless and efficient. Populations who suffered their invasions and were defeated quickly yielded to their rule. Those who resisted refused to obey quickly found themselves prime sources of nutrition for the wolfen ones. Obey or become buffet, Matu thought to himself. Did they finally did they evolve by now? But I have this 2019. I have the vision. It was terrible. The beings was very long and they have a kind of cat face come up from the river and was running after people to attack. It was 2019 I had this vision. Because of a deep throaty growl that permeated their speech, a holdover from their canine ancestors. The wolfen ones became known to their victims and throughout the world of 3 sons as RRR or R, driven by a force seldom witnessed. They had managed to develop civilization at a faster pace than most races of star beings in our galaxy. It seems as the best way in which one can sum up the reason for almost everything the R beings did was actually one word: hunger. Hunger for power, hunger for wealth, hunger for food, hunger for sex, hunger for virtually everything. It's more than greed, Matu. It's more than desire. It's evil behavior. It's more than selfishness, and it's more than righteousness. It is an instinct. Hunger is pure and simple, a gut level instinct. To me, it's a stupidity. This is lack of evolution and lack of intelligence. I'm aghast at how these beings are not evolved up to now, after millions of years in the making, in terms of evolution. Not good, Matu thought as he wrote. Not good. Wealth and power, luxuries that are the result of desire, and desire can be divorced and sublimated. Hunger, however, is a form of passionate instinct. A warrior who wants to kill his enemy so that he can eat him is a far more dangerous and deadly warrior than one who simply follows order. And the worst is that a long time ago their seed ones here are doing the same, isn't it? I hope that they have evolved by now, thanks to the other ones who came from another place, another continent, to teach them something, some civilization. Finally, huh? Finally, you need to evolve. Peck continued as had happened in the world of the reptilian people. The world of the three sons was soon dominated by the woven ones. In particular, one race that came to be known as the golden-maned ones. These conquerors kings eventually created a one-world empire with trillions of beings possibly united under the banner. And it should come as of no surprise to you, Major, that the research and development of the sciences and technologies of Wolfen civilization were all oriented towards conquest and militarism. No, Master Matu answered, it is illogical that should be the case. Yeah, so they evolved, they are no more eating people, are they? In the battlefield. Have you seen Hitler eating people or many others who are eating people? That sprung from Europe? No, you haven't. Yeah, they kill, yeah, they throw bombs, but do they kill? Do they eat their comrade or whatever, or the spoil of the spoil of war? No. So what you are saying? In the world of the Aurora Wolfen people, political debate was virtually non-existent. Everything and everyone served only one purpose, to further the military might of the empire in the Woven Kings. Well, so in this context, don't talk bad about the people here, huh? Don't say that it's only humans who are bad, tra la 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 la, when this is beings from Sirius and from this galaxy there is even worse. Eridanas, is it? Even the first steps into outer space were designed not for exploration, but for exploitation. Early astronauts that departed the home world of the Wolfen people were not sure that other beings existed on the other worlds of their solar system. But their ships were always designed for self-defense and conquest. The healing technologies were all designed with the intent and priority of healing and providing speedy recovery for Wolfen warriors. Communications technologies were designed and developed for the specific purpose of providing dependable and encrypted messages between warrior forces in the field. Transportation vehicles were developed specifically with the intent of providing quick and reliable movement in the battlefield. And food preparation and nutrition sciences were all based on the needs of the warrior on the field. Honors in academy and science were always presented for achievements in the fields of military and conquest sciences. Now I ask a question, why certain religions that does not like dog, why is so violent? So why you blame the dogs? I find it very fishy. I still gonna dig more about it. I'm not convinced. I know they are savage, yeah, they are savage. But are they the only one? No, they aren't. Entertainment was always oriented towards militaristic themes, as were the games provided for the young woven children. Everything revolved around war. Athletics events and competitions generally resulted in the death of the losers, while legal cases of contract violations were tried in woven courts. Only if one of the complainants was not killed. What? While legal cases of contract violations were tried in woven courts only if one of the complainants was not killed. So if he was not killed, if he was killed, then was tried. But of course it makes sense. What for? You want to go ahead in fight a case that when one is killed? Police shot speeders and traffic violators on site while prison population were nearly non-existent. Generally, those who were locked up were simply in transition to the executions. No wonder we have here Salih for drugs offenses, huh? Does it ring a bell? And sorry, Matu, in the word of the wolfen beings, either an individual obeyed the law or he was executed. Yeah, they do that. They still do in Agatha. But the use of violence was not restricted solely to enforcement of controls on the general populace. While ruthlessness and cold-blooded cunning were generally rewarded with advancements in the ranks, oftentimes upper-level positions needed to be filled because of the sudden and unexpected death of the individual holding their position. In other instances, some high-level officials maintained their position because any potential challenges to his position was met with an unexpected death. It is curious thing, Matu, that this very violent way of life assures that only the most cunning and deadly individuals end up in the highest position. Like here, I see a lot here. And the throne of the wolfen kings itself was not spared. Monarchs generally rose to the throne through murder and assassination. Often it was the son or relative of the sitting king who moved to seize the throne. Yeah, it happened here on Earth. To avoid such difficulties, it was common practice for the king to send his sons and heirs to far distant worlds where difficult conditions often resulted in their deaths. Sons who found favor with their king father were permitted to remain in the royal palace, where they were systematically placed at odds with their sibling brothers. By pitting them against one another, the king was assured that only the most worthy heir would be allowed to claim the throne after the king passed away. This is vicious, very, very vicious, really animalesque. Even contexts that resulted in death were permitted. It would take an iron hand, a cunning mind, and a ruthless spirit. Sentimentality was for the weak. Power demanded a cold-blooded, almost heartless inner spirit. In a perverse manner, kings were often seen smiling as their son dealt them the final fatal blow in his assassination coup. Such was the way of the raw war kings. While you may question the use of violence to enforce its existence, a society that will exterminate the Vianshi becomes quite one-minded and unified. Whether it be voluntary or not, it's not wise to condemn the our beings offhandedly, Matu, for their accomplishments often diminish the achievements of other star peoples who have agonized over the morality of their actions. Ruthlessness breeds efficiency. Violence eliminates hesitation. What? And the weak. What are you saying, man? You are one of them. Why are you condoning all this? Nothing justifies violence, man. Nothing, really nothing. Okay, end of part 1 for this content.